I had a feeling that it could be a shootout. I did not think it would be, quite this explosive. Utah State 49, Air Force 30. This was a game that, although Utah State seemed to be in control most, from start to finish, Air Force really did not let up and, did their best to match score for score. The Aggies' offense proved to be too much, just pulling away from them. Defensively, I think there's been indications that defensively there's been holes, and certainly you're not going to get any slack from this Falcons team that does run that triple option so well. I felt like Bryson Barnes could have a career day, and he definitely did. He proved that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the Mountain West and the West Coast in general. What we know from what we're getting from Broncos offense is explosive plays, going downfield and mixing it up, balanced offense, and just really pressuring any opposing defense. Barnes finished the day with 287 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had another 44 yards and 3 scores on the ground. The Aggies were able to pretty much almost match the Falcons' rushing power. 5 scores on the ground, 3 by your quarterback. Just a huge performance there. But the passing game was effective. Braden Pagan had a career day, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brady Boyd, Javon Jacobs, just great play from the passing game. We knew Owen Allen, Dylan Carson, Cade Harris, that they were going to get their touches and that they were going to be effective with that running game. They just could not match, the firepower that the Aggies were bringing into this game. Defensively, I think you'd like to see a little bit more from Utah State, but you never know what you're going to get when you're taking on Air Force. As I talk about, Utah State defense could be a little bit better. They did have 3 turnovers in this game, much more improved from last week, and really, not giving up, big chunk plays to anyone this season, and finding a way to get those, key turnovers that benefit the offense, getting great field position, putting them in position to score. It's early, but Utah State is one of those teams where you say, how far can they go? Surely they have the makings of a bowl team early on. It's what we've seen this far. It's going to be interesting. I like the fact that you could rely on this Aggies team to go down 70, 80 yards downfield and finish the drive off with some points on the board. The fact that they could do it in a multitude of ways is encouraging. This is the type of game that you like to see from 2 Mountain West teams early on in the season that, potentially could both have great finishes. I like what Bronco and this Utah State team is doing so far in the season. Even in defeat against Texas A&M a week ago, they're a team that can put points on the board. I think they're defensively they will be better as the season progresses, but right now they look pretty solid. For a Mountain West that's still very much up for grabs. Early on right now as they start conference play. I was impressed with what Bryson Barnes was able to do and what he's done so far this season. I do have a feature on him coming up this week. Very impressive for Utah State thus far this season. Utah State 49, Air Force 30 is your final score there.